going farther, faster than ever before. It all begins right here, right now. Moving more people, even more efficiently, is the driving force behind transforming travel in the Houston region. We know you're anxious to get started, helping us deliver on our $7.5 billion METRONext plan. But the race to completion will be a marathon, not a sprint. With more than 100 design and construction opportunities in the next 10 years alone, there's plenty of work to go around. It's critical that we maintain our level of excellence while rolling out projects vital to keeping our community connected. We'll be looking for companies that'll help us be good stewards of taxpayer money, have the skills we need, and put riders first, just like Metro does every day.
I'll see you later. I'll see you tomorrow, all right?
Before the end of today, you'll know more about the path to getting a contract with Metro, how to register for consideration as a small business, and the importance of providing customers with the best experience possible all along the way.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. And ever since November 5th, I've had this great sense of relaxation and appreciation because together we've turned Metro from a transit agency into a transformation agency. All of the efforts we all put into passing the bond paid off with 68% of the vote. And now it's time to move forward and make sure that the benefits of that bond reflect the energy and the capabilities and the diversity of our community. We're so excited that you've joined us today and expressed an interest in helping implement this plan. Last November, voters overwhelmingly approved the $3.5 billion bond referendum by nearly 70%, and we knew we had to get to work immediately, and we did. The morning after the election, members of Metro's executive leadership team gathered with our planners and other staff members to discuss how we would go about specifically implementing the plan. We already had ideas, of course, in the formulation of the plan as to what would logically come first, what would be farther down the road, but we knew we would have really quick opportunities for everyone. And in fact, as it turns out, we'll be soon going out with the procurement for the program management contract and for a number of other contracts for segments of METRONext. We won't get everything done overnight, but it's a massive undertaking that while it will take time, it's where you come in. We couldn't do this. We couldn't effectuate it. We couldn't implement it without each of you. And fortunately, right here in Houston, in our local community, we have most of the talent and capability to get this done. And it's going to be very, very important to us that the taxpayer money that we're using for this plan be spread among those who work here in our community. Providing 500 miles of travel improvements will take an army of skilled, dedicated, and exceptional talent like those of you in this room. And with your expertise and commitment to this community, we can begin to better improve accessibility for the disabled and seniors, better bus service, an upgraded regional express network with two-way HOV lanes, new park and ride and transit centers, 75 miles of Metro Rapid service that operates like light rail, and much more. And we're also committed to making this process with Metro as transparent, fair, and efficient as possible. We want to make sure, as I said earlier, that not only our bigger entities, but smaller and disadvantaged businesses have an opportunity to bid and secure contracts with Metro. We're very proud of our relationship with our business community and being good stewards of tax dollars. So we look forward to talking with you today, answering your questions, and helping you understand the process so that participation can be far and wide in this procedure. Again, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules. And let me just take a minute to recognize our board members who are here. Sanjay Ram, Chairman of our Capital and Strategic Planning Committee. Troy Taylor, Vice Chair of our Capital and Strategic Planning Committee. And of course, let me give a personal shout out to our phenomenal team of staff at Metro, led by Chief Tom Lambert. Tom, will you take a bow? So let me now bring up Sanjay, who will give a few remarks.
Good morning. See, maybe I need both of these. Never been accused of not having a loud voice. Thank you all for braving the rain and coming out here this morning. As you can see, this is a new venue for events that Metro does, and there was a reason behind that. If I could ask for a show of hands, how many of y'all took Metro to get here this morning? All right, we are right here on the light rail line. And the reason it was important for us is before we start building improvements and enhancements to our system, it's good for us to experience what we currently have so we can build upon it. Over the last 2 years, all of us saw how Chair Patman shepherded us through the METRONext process with the utmost of care and with great ease, both at the same time. Because without her untiring efforts, we would not be here today. METRONext would probably still be a dream. And now she's leading us to make sure that it gets implemented and executed right. So thank you on behalf of this room and frankly on behalf of the entire region. So thank you. I also want to thank Chair Patman, my colleague Troy Taylor, and other members of the board who have made it a priority that outreach to the local business community is an essential part of everything we do as we move forward. I want to take a moment of personal privilege if I could. This week, across the United States, we celebrate National Engineers Week. I think we've got the Houston brain trust of engineers in this room today, so let me thank you all for all that you do to build our infrastructure and to improve our quality of life every single day. So thank you. You know, some of y'all in this room are very familiar with Metro's processes. For others, this might be your first opportunity to provide services to the greater Houston region on behalf of Metro. Much like when we were out in the community talking about METRONext, there is something in it for everyone today in today's discussions, as well as something in it for everyone as we implement METRONext over the coming years. What do we want to do? Most importantly, we want to ensure that we lessen communication gaps that may occur on upcoming opportunities, which is typical when you've got such a large endeavor such as METRONext. We want fair, transparent competition. And in order for us to have a fair competition, it is critical that everybody understands the overall picture and the overall process. Believe me, it is not just a competition for services that will be provided to Metro. Metro is in a competition for talent. The amount of infrastructure investment that is going into our region, we're going to have to fight to make sure we've got the best and the brightest helping build our system. What we want to accomplish today is to begin that process. Begin building a team that will include Metro staff and the business community so that we can fulfill on the promises of METRONext. What will that team do? It's going to take that team working together over the next decade or two to ensure that we deliver capital projects, improve operations, and enhance our system to the extent we can. We're going to accelerate those projects that we can when it's possible, where it's possible, because what we heard in November of 2019 is that the region is hungry for mobility improvements now. And that's where everybody comes in. METRONext, the entire bond program, was structured to help enhance our region's competitiveness and to strengthen our community. And that community includes the local business community. So we're really glad you all are here for METRONext Business Now. Let me help bring up our fearless leader, President and CEO, Tom Lambert.
Well, good morning again. I want to thank everybody for coming. As the chair and Mr. Rahm said, this is an important day, not just for Metro, not just for the business community, but for our community as a whole. So we're excited to see you. I'm going to keep this very brief because I know you're very anxious to hear more about the program management plan for METRONext. But I wanted to make a couple of moments to really echo what the chair and Mr. Rahm have said this morning. Just as we needed the support of the community to get the METRONext plan approved, we need your support to execute the plan. And I mean that sincerely. We need your support to execute the plan. Our goal today is really twofold. First, we want to ensure that you have an opportunity to meet the staff from our procurement, small business, and other departments to learn about the process and to engage us in conversation so we can answer your questions. Secondly, we want you to know that there are more than 40 projects in the METRONext plan. That means there are a great many opportunities to work with Metro today, tomorrow, and the next 20 years to come. Finally, we may not be able to answer all of your questions specific to METRONext today, as the board considers the various factors we'll have to consider as we move forward, but today begins the ball rolling with the conversation going forward. We're committed to improving mobility throughout the region, and that includes working with the business community and others to build a better system for this community. We'll now hear from two members of our procurement and small business departments, Michael Keim and Karen Hudson. They will be followed by Roberto Trevino, who will give you the key details of what you will want to hear regarding the METRONext program overview. A couple of key points, though, before Mike comes up. We have a lot of information to cover this morning, and this will not be your only opportunity to get information about the METRONext plan. We'll also present at METROnext Business Now at our Meet the Buyers meeting that's already been scheduled for Wednesday, March the 18th in the Metro boardroom at 1900 Main from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. So please put that on your calendar and join us for the Meet the Buyer event. As for today, you'll want to make sure that you write down any questions you may have that we can address after Roberto finishes his presentation. In your package we gave you when you came in and on your seats, there are index cards. We want to make sure you're writing your questions down, your comments down, because we're going to track all of that as we go forward to keep everybody informed of the issues that we discussed today and how we're going to respond to those today and in the days to come. Now my pleasure to introduce Mike Keim, and Mike will then turn it over to Karen from there. Mike.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lambert. Thank you, the board and the public, for making this event possible, passing this. Can everybody hear me, first of all? It was a, yes? How about now? All right, excellent. Most of the things I'm going to bring to your attention can be found on your phones. But don't go on your phone right now. You'll zap all the Wi-Fi out of the hotels, guests, and the stream we're doing right now. But most of the stuff we're going to show you today is on your phone by going to www.ridemetro.org. My name is Michael Keim. I'm the Chief Procurement Officer here at Metro. I have some staff I want to introduce real quick. It's Karen Hudson. We have Gunther Scheib. We have Jerome Scott. And we have Caitlin Tran. And they're here to talk later on, help you answer your questions, and help you register. Just a moment of clarification, Gunther and Jerome have over 50 years of contracting, Metro contracting experience, so we're in good hands. I want to bring to your attention 4 brief points I want to talk to you guys about. I got the clicker, sorry. Number 1, I'm going to talk about the vendor registration and why it's very important. Number 2, I'm going to talk about the procurement website. Number 3, I'm going to talk about the quality of your submittals. And number 4, I'm going to talk about communications. What you see right now will be the overall Metro website at www.ridemetro.org. But if you go at the very bottom of it, you'll see procurement and materials, and you'll see small business. By clicking on that, you'll see 2 things. On the right-hand side will be the vendor registration page. On the left-hand side will be numerous things regarding procurement material, but primarily solicitations and awards. On the vendor registration site, it's very important that you go back and double check with your team to make sure that you've registered recently. We recently changed systems from Oracle and Metro Bids through SAP, and it required a new vendor base to be re-registered. So if you didn't do it, or if you registered 5 years ago and beyond and haven't done it since, please check with my members on the staff or check with your team members to see if you're registered. And that's important because you'll need notices on these procurements. Also, only one member of your team gets notices. So you have to find out who that member is and make sure they're passing it to the appropriate party. On the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see now open formal solicitations. So anything over $50,000 is a formal solicitation that we advertise in the Houston Chronicle, which is required by statute. But we also post these items on our website. And this is what this looks like right here. So right now you'll see the first one out of the box is urban design. It basically closes today. So any urban designers in our house? Okay, in case you do, you have to run back and make sure because it's closing at 2 o'clock. So right here you have basically why that's important is because you have the urban designer who's going to tell you certain information. You'll be able to click on the actual scope. You'll be able to see who's going to be the contract administrator, when the due date is. And then down below, which is also very important, amendments to that solicitation. You don't know if they have been extended. There may be some, maybe you want to see who showed up at the pre-qualification briefing. Those are all posted. And it's a requirement for you guys to basically sign off on those amendments with your solicitation. There's also another, before I get to this slide here, the third point I want to bring to your attention is the quality of your submittals. Everybody's here to listen to Roberto talk about the upcoming projects. There's lots of them. And as the chair pointed out earlier, there's going to be one for program management consultants coming up soon. Take the time. We're going to put out, when we get a quality scope, we're going to put out a quality scope on the street. You, as designers and construction, we want you to make sure you give us a quality product so your reader can understand what you're designing. And then the vendors that are doing the construction can clearly identify who's going to put a quality product on the street so our customer can have a quality experience. So it's very important to read the instruction, read the materials, and submit a quality product. The last thing I want to bring to your attention is the communication piece, which in all our solicitations we'll talk about communication and what you do. When we hit these items on the street, there's no dialogue with members of the board, members of the Metro staff. The only dialogue you will have is with my team, or the contract administrator, in writing, so we can basically pass it on for everybody to see, to make sure it's open and transparent. If you violate that, you may lose the ability to be disqualified on that project and future projects. So it's not worth it. All dialogue comes through my office. So apart from that, again, to stress the importance of vendor registration, please double check and triple check your ability to receive solicitations. Any questions? We have Caitlin in a group. And again, we'll have this opportunity at our Meet the Buyer Forum on March 18th. And all this stuff will be talked about then, and we'll have at pre-qualifications meetings even further data. So thank you again for attending. Thank you for coming on the rain. I appreciate all your assistance. Thank you. Coming to the podium right now is Karen Hudson, who is the Deputy Chief Procurement Officer, who will talk about small business. Thank you.
Good morning. Before I start, we have a full house here and we'd like for everyone to be able to have a seat. So if you have an empty seat near you, if you could just raise your hand. So those of you that are standing, if you'd like to sit, you can see where there are opportunities. We got a lot of stuff to tell you and we want everyone to be comfortable. Okay, while we're getting settled, just to introduce myself, I'm Karen Hudson. I'm the Deputy Chief Procurement Officer and DBE Liaison for Metro. I'd like to introduce the staff of the Office of Small Business. In the back corner, we have Otis Johnson. We have Alex Sandoval, Monique Petaway, and as most of y'all know, Sharonda Murray. And I don't see her, but Anna Cortez is also here. Anna, Monique, and Caitlin will be where you got your refreshments this morning. They'll be set up to help you register as a vendor and also answer any of your certification questions you may have. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to give you just a little quick overview of Metro's small business program and how it will relate to the METRONext project. The small business program was established to give contracting opportunities to small and disadvantaged businesses. It is a race and gender neutral program, and we have aspirational goals of 35%. Our goals are small business goals, and those are satisfied by Metro certified small businesses or certified disadvantaged businesses. The Office of Small Business oversees the program. They provide certification, outreach, and technical support, and they monitor for compliance to the program. With METRONext, they will be reviewing each and every contract for small business participation, and they'll establish a goal on it. As I said before, our goals are, we aspire for 35% if we have that type of capacity and opportunities. If you are bidding as a prime, please understand that all primes are required to commit to the small business goal. If you fail to commit to the goal, your bid and proposal will not be considered for award. Now, for those of you who are looking at RFPs and RFQs, you have an opportunity to get an additional 5 points. To get those points, you have to commit to more than what the stated goal is. You also cannot have a negative contracting history with Metro in regards to the small business program. And you have to fill out your forms correctly. I know that sounds easy, but you'd be surprised how many firms lose points on their forms. So I encourage you, when you get your solicitation documents, to review them carefully, especially the small business section, understand what the requirements are and what we're looking for. A couple of mistakes that firms make, besides not filling out their forms correctly, is not having firms with the proper certification. The solicitation document clearly states what certifications we accept and what certifications we don't accept. It's real easy. There's only 2. Metro certified small businesses and certified disadvantaged businesses. So please take care of that, because we want you to be successful and we want to have lots of competition in our projects. Metro is very dedicated to the small business program and the small and disadvantaged business community. We are constantly looking for ways to improve our program. So there are a couple of changes that we are considering for our program and that we'll be bringing to the board soon. And I'd like to present those to you. The first one regards the prime sub restriction. Currently, our language states if you're going to bid or propose as a prime, you cannot be listed as a subcontractor on another team. Metro wants to encourage small businesses to bid as primes. So what we're proposing to change is that restriction will still apply to non-certified firms, but for the small and disadvantaged business primes, they can be listed as a subcontractor on one team. Another change we're looking at is regarding our small and disadvantaged business prime subcontracting rule. A few years ago, Metro changed the program that allowed a small and disadvantaged business prime's participation to count towards the goal. However, the small and disadvantaged business prime could not perform 100% of the contract. They were still required to subcontract the small business goal percentage out, but they could sub that out to either a certified firm or a non-certified firm. Well, what we found was that although our participation dollars increased, our number of small business firms decreased because the certified firms were subbing out to non-certified firms. So to address this issue, we propose to make the following change. A small business prime participation can still count towards the goal. They're still not able to perform 100% of the contract. They are still required to sub out at a minimum the small business goal. However, half of that has to go to a small business firm. So for an example, if we have our 35% goal, since the prime can't do 100%, the maximum amount they can do is 65% of the contract. They have to sub out that 35%. But half of that, 17.5, will have to go to a small business firm. This way, instead of only having one small business on the contract, we can get at least 2 small businesses on the contract. So these are things that we're going to bring to the board, but we want your feedback. So we have set up a link where you can go in and you can see the language of the current policy and our proposed changes. Now, in your package, you have an agenda, and this link is on that agenda. Please go on there. We want to hear from you. As we said earlier, we're always looking for ways to improve our program. And one of the things we have, as everyone has mentioned, coming up in March is our Meet the Buyers. This is an opportunity for you to meet every contract administrator and every buyer and have a face-to-face meeting and get them to know who you are. So with that, I will thank you for coming, and I will bring up the man of the hour, Roberto Trevino.
Thank you very much. So it's all come into focus now. So Ms. Patman just said since November 5th, she's been really relaxed. What a coincidence. It's November 5th. I've been really stressed. It's like I know where her stress went. It's here. No. Actually, this is really fun. There is no stress involved. And the reason for that is because I know 2 things, right? I know one thing is that we have the leadership in the agency at all levels to succeed in this program. And the second thing I know is what I see today. We have the talent pool within this service area to succeed in any project that we have in this referendum today. So, with that, so a lot of people come to me, are you worried? Are you stressed? Absolutely not. I sleep very well at night because I know, like the programs that we've delivered here in the past, the original 7.5 miles, the 15 miles of light rail we delivered, we really did that in partnership with the business community, specifically the local business community. I remember attending the celebration events, and the people who were just as pleased as Metro staff to get those projects off the ground are you in this room who actually helped us get to that point. So thank you for the successes in the past, and when I will be the first, and after Mr. Board Member Ram, say thank you for the successes in the future, because the structure that we're proposing here today is going to be an integrated approach where we leverage the talents at all levels of the agency with the talents in this room and the talents in this service area, and we're going to deliver every aspect of this program successfully. So with that, we have a lot to go over, and we will start with the projects. So, let me get through here. So we'll start off with just a little reminder of what's in the program. What's in the program is a collection of projects. So this region has never seen a program a transit program similar to METRONext and before. So we've had the original 7.5 miles of light rail. We had the last rail expansion of 15 miles of light rail. This collection of projects is a diverse group of projects that meets several needs, transit needs in this region. You have the bus rapid transit, which has high capacity transit that's bus-based, rail-like experience throughout the region. You have light rail expansions where we leverage existing investments to logical terminuses. We have our boost corridors, which really leverage the investment of our new bus network and that trend-setting, reimagining process, and how can we make that better for the local service. We have community connectors in here, which really, where fixed route service is maybe not the right choice. We have a very creative service of community connectors that can really meet the need of getting someone who chooses to ride transit into the broader network. And then it has system enhancements like universal accessibility. Universal accessibility is the top priority of the agency, and making sure that all the projects that we have and we provide in METRONext is accessible to all is critical. So that will go. So how are we going to deliver the program? So as the voters went to the ballot, there was two clear things on the Exhibit A of the ballot. One was the agency is going to be fiscally responsible. We have up to $7.5 billion. So what does this mean? This means that if we award a design contract, we will build it. If we build it, we will operate and maintain it without impacting the day-to-day service that we already provide. So we want to make sure as we start awarding these projects, nothing is impacted with the agency. So we will be fiscally responsible, and we will do so in a very transparent process to where on a monthly basis we are sharing with our board or sharing with our public with our progress. I have no doubt at all with the team at Metro, with the team in this room and in this service area, that we can successfully execute these projects in a timely, cost-effective manner. And the other comment in Exhibit A of the referendum was that we're committed to a robust public engagement process. So the referendum was a smashing success, due in part because the agency went out and we had over hundreds of public meetings. This was not the agency's plan. This is the public's plan, right? And that's because of all the public meetings we had. We're going to honor the commitment as we start implementing the projects that are in the plan. That robust public engagement process will continue. Nothing will proceed without talking to our partners in the public, because we're not doing this to do a design contract, to do a construction project. What we're all doing here is providing transit to this region, and by talking to the public, to the business community, and to anyone who chooses to ride transit is a key to success of the program. So as we start going through the list of projects and opportunities, you will see that public engagement is going to be a critical part in all the opportunities going forward. And then if you've come and talked to me anytime over the last 2 or 3 years, universal accessibility, we always start the conversation off with universal accessibility, top priority. We're going to talk very specific contract opportunities, design, construction management, things like that. But just know, as I've stated in a lot of the meetings that we've had, universal accessibility is a top priority. The entire umbrella of projects that we will deliver under METRONext will be universally accessible. The spaces that we create will be accessible by all members of this community. As you design something or you construct something, you are not designing an 8x5 foot pad. You are not designing a rail station. You are designing a customer experience. You're building a customer experience for every member of this society, right? So every project that we do is going to be universally accessible. And another thing we want to do is make sure overarching, as you start putting your packages together, we really want to be innovative. And innovation is not limited to the autonomous vehicle, the platoon buses. Innovation is everything. It's how do you do cost estimating? How do you do design? How do you structure your website? How do we communicate with everyone? Every aspect of this program is going to be challenged, and how do we become the most innovative region to provide transit projects to a region? Innovation is going to be a key initiative of this program. And then the last thing we do is partnerships. As you see, a lot of these projects are in our partners right away. We're going to leverage our great relationship that we have with the City of Houston, with Harris County, with TxDOT, with the multi-cities in our service area. Because of the leadership we have in place and the good relationship we've had, these projects have a great chance of success. And they will succeed because of the great partnerships that we've established prior to this point. And we'll talk about some of the partnerships going forward. So here we are. So we're looking at the first phase of projects that we're going to put out in the near future. Over 100 plus prime contract opportunities. When I say prime contract opportunities, I think Karen was up here just a while ago talking about a small business participation. If we just assume that each team has 5 members, here in the very near future, there's 500 opportunities where the local business community can partner with the agency to deliver transit to this region. This is great news except for one person, our Vice President of Procurement, because he's going to be really, really busy. All right, so here we are. So we're going to go through the list of projects. This was shared with committee about 2 months ago. How are we going to deliver the project, and what are the roles within the project? So this METRONext is going to be an agency-led initiative. We have the leadership in place to successfully implement the program. It's going to be integrated with you, people in this room. It's going to be a collective effort. We cannot fail if we stay together. We will not fail when we stay together. However, we don't have the depth or resource to deliver all the envelope of projects in METRONext. So we will need a program management consultant to come in with to help us with these services. The key question is, what will they be doing? Right? I'll make it very clear. The program management consultant will not be doing all the work. What we need is, what separates transit projects from other civil construction projects like a roadway or highway is the introduction of a vehicle. You introduce that vehicle that has to carry people safely to an ultimate destination requires 2 things. It requires vehicles, obviously. It requires facilities to maintain them. There's an operations and maintenance cost to that have to be monitored and tracked. And since we have so many projects going simultaneously, we have to go back to that commitment of financial responsibility. We need someone who has this overarching support to look at program-wide initiatives to say, okay, there's these 10 initiatives going on at the same time. Here's when they're coming online, and here's how we can secure our future without impacting the day-to-day. That's what the program manager role is going to do. And then they're going to help us with oversight. We will not staff up with a tremendous amount of Metro personnel to manage this program. We don't need to. The talent's in this room. We trust you. You're one of us. You celebrate just as much as we do when we deliver one of these transit projects. So we're not going to staff up tremendously. We're going to leverage program management consultants, general engineering consultants, whoever we can. It's an integrated team approach. When you're in our building, you are us. And when you're out in the public, you are us, because we have the same goal. We want to provide transit, good customer experiences to the overall region. So that is the role of the program management consultant. They're going to also lead the federal environmental clearance process. A lot of the big projects in METRONext have a grant assumption where we'll have to partner with the FTA to try to get federal funds. So that is the role, and we'll get into a little detail. So we'll start off with what's in the project. We'll go off to BRT. We have an envelope of projects of bus rapid transit is the focus of many of the projects in METRONext. The first one we'll start off is, we'll go through the federal environmental process here because it talks about roles and where everybody fits. University line, BRT to the airport, those BRT projects have a new FTA grant assumption to them. There's about a 3-year process that we have to get through to get there. The program management consultant will help us with this process, right? However, a key part of this process is the engineering component, right? As we get through this, we'll talk a little bit more detail. We're going to try to get the local engineering firms that are be ultimately responsible for final design to participate in this process as soon as possible. But that'll be in discussion with our partners at FTA to see when and how that can be integrated. But the program manager will be excluded from doing final design. So those opportunities will be for other firms to participate. When they come into this process in this 2 to 3 year window, will be up to further discussion. So with that, University Line is the premier project in the program. They're all important. This project here is really critical. If you're familiar, as I know you are, the Metro network for high-capacity transit is north and south, North Line to Fannin South, Green Line downtown to Harrisburg, and its Purple Line downtown to the southeast. What this provides the agency is a high-capacity transit backbone that runs east and west. As we did our new bus network in 2015, we saw a large percentage of the growth was to the west and to the southwest. This high-capacity transit backbone will allow us to really leverage the frequent routes that go out west. It'll tie into the Uptown Bus Rapid Transit line that should open up this summer. It'll tie into Wheeler, where the red line is in place. And it'll tie to the purple line at U of H. And really importantly, it really provides a high-capacity transit to the residents in the northeast portion of our service area, where access to opportunity, to healthcare, to employment centers, to activity centers is really critical. So this is a great project for the region. It has been on our long-range plan for several years, a really long time. And this is going to be the first project that gets out the door as far as high-capacity transit. Well, one of the first. We'll get to the second in a second. But this is really critical. So how are we going to do this is the question. So we were very successful in the original red line construction to have line sections. As you take a look at the university corridor, there has these distinct, unique characteristics along the way. You have areas where we own the right-of-way, areas where right-of-way is constrained. We have several different unique neighborhoods as we go. By line sectionalizing this, we're going to dedicate a designer, a contractor, a construction management firm, and it's not on the slide, a public engagement firm. Anything that we need is going to be focused on a neighborhood, specifically designed to the characteristics of that neighborhood and fully accountable for delivering the good customer experience in that line section. So if you take a look at the university corridor with design, construction, and construction management, we're looking at 20+ contract opportunities once we start getting this project off the ground of direct construction, design, and construction management. There's also support services that I'll get to at the end of the presentation that are going to complement this. So this project is, actually our planners are actually started the pre-project development process. We're going to head up to FTA early March, and we're going to really start this process. When a program manager comes in place, we're really going to start accelerating this project as we will with several others. The next project we want to talk about is Inner-Katy. Inner-Katy's bus rapid transit. It's a fantastic project for the region. Not only because it addresses a major need, because it's going to shorten my commute also. So, we have, so this project here it ties into the proposed high-speed rail that goes up in Hempstead. That terminus to our Northwest Transit Center, and our Northwest Transit Center in an elevated structure into downtown, tying into the high-capacity transit we're providing in downtown. It is a very congested corridor. It's a depressed section that TxDOT is trying to address, but it's a really difficult challenge. This project here is going to really tremendously increase the throughput of this corridor. The beauty of this project, it is just not a bus rapid transit project. The park and ride buses down 290, the park and ride buses on I-10 are going to be able to leverage this investment. And the ridership from the north and west side is going to tremendously grow when this project is in place, not just with bus rapid transit, and it's going to tie in also to the line that Uptown is building. This is a great project. The beauty of this project, it's already funded. In the Houston-Galveston Area Council last call for projects, this project here scored a perfect score by the grading structure. It is an important project to the region. TxDOT will be providing this, doing this project. It's in TxDOT right away. It's their specifications. However, TxDOT is really good at what they do, and they build highways. And we're really good at what we do, and we build transit. And as you know, transit projects and highway projects, they're close, but they're not similar. So we will be bringing on a general engineering consultant, A to Z coordination with TxDOT, all the way through the planning process, the design process, through the construction. There's going to be a long-term commitment that we're going to be bringing out soon for this partnership for this representative to come and help the agency in that process so we can jointly with TxDOT deliver this project to the region. The next project is bus rapid transit to George Bush Intercontinental. This project here, the schedule for this project is dictated by our partners at TxDOT. As everyone knows in the region, IH-45 there's a plan for reconstruction of IH-45. Metro is going to be in the inner lanes of that corridor. The schedule for this project is really dictated by the schedule of TxDOT's project. The majority of it is. So while this project and all the opportunities associated with the project are probably a little bit down the road, we really need to start coordinating now to ensure that not only do we minimize the impacts to transit that project may have, but we also have an opportunity to enhance the transit experience as that project is really getting built. So what we will be asking for, what we'll be bringing out very soon is a consultant, a general engineering consultant, that can really help us partner with TxDOT and see how we can minimize impacts, make transit better, and preserve access to the future project that we have. So this, additionally, so as you're preparing for this opportunity here, it's not just the bus rapid transit coordination. That project has impacts to our light rail along Texas Avenue. It has impacts to our Wheeler Transit Center, where light rail is also. So there will have to be some light rail talent on this team because we're going to be coordinating with TxDOT on those scope items initially also. So this is all in. This is service planning. This is BRT design, LRT design. This is all in. And more importantly, there's going to be a public engagement component to this solicitation. So this is another opportunity that's going to be coming out very shortly. Right, and in the future, and this is a little bit in the future, as you know, I don't know, the TxDOT schedule is still slightly up in the air. Most of it's in TxDOT right away. We have to get up to the airport. Similar philosophy to university, line sections, opportunities for structural components. As we get to George Bush, you're going to want a structural designer, some architect to come up with a very good seamless entry into the airport, which there'll be opportunities. So we're looking at about 13 contract opportunities for this project in the future. LRT, existing investment that we have in the region. The first project we're going to do is an extension of our existing green and purple lines to the municipal courthouse. So this project is I would say low cost, but in magnitude to other projects is a low cost investment that we can execute quickly with the tremendous benefit to the green and purple lines. Very soon, I think Bridget's already working on the scope of services now. We will be bringing the design solicitation for this project to our board very soon. And this project is one of the first ones that's going to come out of the hopper. We're looking at 5 contract opportunities. As design comes out, we're not looking for that designer to take their time. We're looking to really get things done quickly. That designer comes out, construction management comes out, construction comes out, civil design comes out also. All right, hobby. So as we look at the prioritization of projects, all these projects are important. University, Inner Katy, courthouse extension. There's only a certain number of projects that you can do at one time. Hobby is one of those projects that due to cash flow will probably not be done immediately, but it is in the envelope of projects that we'd like to execute. Similar to university, same methodology. If it works, stick with it. We're looking at something like 27 contract opportunities, and it seems like a great number of amount of coordination. We can do this. We can do this. And so we'll line section that. 27 contract opportunities, still single-minded focus to a section, so you can really get to know that neighborhood, get to know that community, and they get to know you through the process also. Regional Express, what is it? Well, we had a very successful new bus network programming in 2015. Like it is a world-known process now, and several transit agencies are really going through that process now. We committed to do it then, and now we're going to do it now, is we're going to take a look at the commuter service, our regional express routes, our park and ride service, and see how can we reimagine that process. And that means something slightly different. What is regional express, right? What's the grand vision? So we have this, our goal as an agency is to provide two-way HOV on all major corridors for our park and ride service. Is it there today? No. Do we want it? Absolutely. So we have this grand vision. This is where we want to go. How do we get there is the question. So we want to travel time reliability on the major corridors. That's a lot of partnerships with our partners. But we also really want to focus on the customer experience at our park and rides. Currently, we have a canopy. We have these tremendous parking spaces. How can we improve that customer experience? Can we have business hubs there? Can we have retail? Can we have housing there to really provide people access to transit? Can we increase ridership? Can we make that a better experience? I think, can we go vertical? Should we go build a parking garage and partner with the remainder? That's going to be a part of this Regional Express reimagining process. So we very soon are going to be soliciting for a general engineering consultant to help us with our reimagining process. The goal of this is two-term. Transit-oriented development potential at our facilities. Are there any near-term investments that we can make now to get two-way HOV, all-day service, on any corridor that we have today? And then we have the longer-term vision as to if we have to have major infrastructure improvements, what are they, and when can we build them for access for two-way HOV that works for our partners? We're all in this together. It has to work for our partners. It has to work for us. What are those investments? So this consultant here is going to have a robust public engagement process. The success to New Bus Network, similar to the long-range plan, was we had a robust public engagement process. We don't only want to talk to the people who use our service in this process. We really want to talk to the people who don't use our service and say, what's it going to take for you to give transit a try? And if we give them that travel time reliability that they deserve, they're going to stick to transit. So this is the purpose of this solicitation. This one, again, is the one that will be coming out hopefully very soon. Is reimagining, and this is a reimagining park and ride solicitation. There are, in METRONext, there are 21 new or improved transit centers facilities, park and ride transit center facilities. Missouri City is the first one that we will be rolling out. There's a growing need in the southwest quarter of our region for a facility in Missouri City. Here's another opportunity that's going to be coming out very shortly. I guess Bridget's my best friend too now. She's doing all these scopes of services, her and Clint. So this is another one that's going to be coming out very, very soon. And it's a park and ride facility pretty much consistent to what we've done. Again, we want to be innovative in our approach. I think that the time of just having these expansive parking lots may not be the right thing. What is the right thing? We'll be looking for that partner to be innovative, and how do we provide the best customer experience at our park and rides? And then Boost. So as we referenced, it's like, what is Boost? So Boost is, as part of our new bus network, we created frequent routes. And those frequent routes created better ridership. How can we make that even better? So Boost is really leveraging that investment that we have currently and making it better. Boost is, how do you, as every transit trip starts with a walk or a roll, how do we make that walk or roll a better experience to get to the stop? So we'll look at sidewalks, we'll look at crosswalks, we'll look at signalization to get to our stop. It's a better walk. Oh, I'm sorry, I got that. It's a better walk. And then additionally, it's also a better stop. So right now, you go to our stop, we're going to improve that experience. So on our Boost frequent routes, we're going to have a customized shelter. And what amenities would a passenger want to have there? We're looking at digital signage, we're looking at solar lighting, next bus arrival. What is it? We'll have a public engagement process to kind of talk about what is it. And then we also have programmable spaces in this. We're working with urban design consultants and say, okay, how do we make this experience a lot better for our customers? Not from the perspective of the agency, but from the perspective of our riders. It says, what makes this experience a lot better? So we're going to address the trip to the stop. We're going to address the stop. And then we're also going to address the ride to your destination. And we've had very successful discussions with the City of Houston on how do we get transit signal priority to get our buses through signalized intersections a lot quicker. If we can have a reliable travel time and get people where they need to go faster, that would only benefit our customer, would only increase our ridership. So that's, in a nutshell, what Boost is. So in our cash flow, in today's cash flow, there's two Boost routes are proposed annually for the next 7 years. The first two are going to be done internally with internal resources and internal contract capacity we have right now. And we're going to very soon start implementing demonstration aspects of this boost on the 56 airline and the 54 Scott. However, we have got to start planning for what's in FY 2021. And another scope of services that Ms. Townsend will be providing us very soon is the anticipated solicitation for who's going to do these boost designs for us for FY 2021. So this is another opportunity that's going to come, and we're going to do this annually, every year. One designer for 2 lines, one constructor for 2 lines, and then we're going to stagger the construction management a little bit less, so that way if you do get a contract, there's actually a lot of scope associated with that contract. 1 would be a little bit too small. For construction management, we're going to do 3. So for Boost, there's about 17 contract opportunities coming up for Boost, and it's going to be a very successful program for the agency. And I don't want to get away. We're talking about capital projects. Really, the success of METRONext, as we talked about earlier, is that it really has this great blend of projects, and we cannot leave here today without talking about the community connectors that were part of the program. These community connectors, while they might not have a contract bid opportunity or RFQ opportunity, they really are a need for the region. It's going to tie in, these community connectors are going to tie in to the investments that you're helping us build and helping us create. But the biggest part of systems enhancements is what we talked about earlier, and that's universal accessibility. So as many of you know, because you're part of the region, is the agency has steadily increased the amount of stops that we're addressing annually. But with METRONext, there's an infusion of additional funds, so we have to reevaluate how we're delivering that program to make sure we can actually execute it over the next couple of years. We're going to sectionalize the city, similar to line section. Instead of a linear area, you're going to have a localized area. We're going to select designers. We're going to select contractors. We're going to select construction management firms, and we're going to start assigning public engagement personnel to these areas. Why? Because we want to personalize our service. Same way we're going to personalize the line sections to a unique neighborhood, we're going to personalize this area, and everyone's going to be intimately knowledgeable of the area they're working in and understand who they're working with. So with our universal accessibility program, we're looking at 16 contract opportunities for this program. We'll be executing some design contracts here soon. The construction and the construction manager opportunities will be coming up very soon also. And this is a program that's really needed for our stops, and it's going to be great. So we talked about design, construction management specifics. However, all those aspects of delivering a capital project are really supported by all these support services. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but you have a slide there. These services here, so the purpose of this slide here is it's a little information sharing. The purpose of this slide here is to let you know the PMC will likely not perform these services. The detail designers will likely not perform these services. Should the agency need these services, that will be something that the agency secures, and then it may be managed by a detail designer, they may be managed by the program manager, they may be managed by Metro personnel, but these contract opportunities are going to be solicited by the agency directly. So just looking real quickly on there, utility coordination is going to be key to success of any project. As we know, right away, utility coordination, the 2 big challenges of getting a project off the ground. We're going to have to get that in the building sooner rather than later. Quality assurance, QA/QC. Traffic engineering is another thing. As we build these linear projects in people's thoroughfares, we did VISM models in the last program, so we can clearly articulate that yes, transit can be introduced into a roadway, and it's not going to impact your over travel time or how long you have to wait at a light to get through that light. So traffic engineering is going to be critical. So all these opportunities may come out as part of the program. And so just to summarize where we're going, and I got to touch on something that I just kind of missed, and it's actually a big role here. Here are the upcoming procurements for METRONext. So what we have here is the program management consultant, obviously extremely critical for system-wide, program-wide support to make sure that we succeed. A program management information software system. So as we start getting all these projects off the ground, you have all these little loose ends. Someone's got to tie it together. We all have to be working off the same platform to ensure that everything is getting done correctly and in line with the agency's documentation. So we will be very soon soliciting for a program management information software system that the agency is going to use, and everyone's going to be expected to learn and use to successfully execute these projects. This is the part we talk about. University Corridor is a tremendous project. As you have these line sections, from the technical aspects, you need to make sure that they're all touching, right? You don't want a bridge that doesn't connect in the middle, right? And not that you build into the middle anyway, but. So we're gonna bring in a University Corridor general engineering consultant underneath the PMC for the technical aspects to make sure that as these line sections are going in, they all lined up, or they all using the right control points on their survey, are they all aligning, are they all using the exact the same CAD standards, the same design criteria, the same specifications. That's what the general engineering consultant is going to do. Right? So that will be coming out soon also. The Inter-Katy Bus Rapid Transit general engineering consultant. And I guess we can just run through. LRT extension design, Regional Express, GEC, Missouri City Park and Ride Design Services, the Boost, FY 2021, the 2 lines in Boost, and then the Universal Accessibility Construction and Construction Management. You don't see design on there because that was already a past solicitation that we hope to be bringing to the board soon. Support services, and that's that circular picture we saw that we're going to need now. With Regional Express, we're going to bring in a transit-oriented development consultant to help us take a look at not just the Regional Express, but where are opportunities for any project. So we want to do TOD at Missouri City. We want to have that talent in-house right now. So we're going to probably be soliciting for that. The top one is the critical and public engagement. Every project is going to have a robust public engagement, period. So we're going to have to bring those services in-house sooner rather than later. And then real estate acquisition support. So we talked about private utility coordination. Now we're talking about real estate. And those things, that support needs to be in the building. Real estate's not just for the high-capacity transit lines. As we do these boost routes, we don't want to be limited to a potential narrow right-of-way that exists today. How can we improve that customer experience and see how we can make sure that we have that stop with the right-of-way that we need? So that support is going to be needed sooner rather than later. And we must not forget that we have to keep the day-to-day running. So as we look at talking about opportunities, we have legacy projects that are we still have to honor our commitments in the full funding grant agreement for building the red, green, and purple lines. A maintenance away facility / MPD department design services solicitation will be coming out soon. And BRT, LRT engineering support services to help our day-to-day operations and even the day-to-day operations going. That support will be coming out also. And then environmental services contract capacity to support the day-to-day will also be coming out also. So with that, I have talked enough. We're ready to get to work, aren't we? All right, so we'll open it up for questions. Thank you very much. Bridget, you want to go? Okay, so we will start, and as we talked about, this is a team approach. So we assembled a panel of, I'm sorry. All right, so that's a little bit better. So as we talked about, this is a full team approach. So we've assembled a panel of some of our experts, and we'll start off with Gunther Schieb. He's a director of contracts for the agency. He's at the panel. Should we answer any questions? We have Otis Johnson, director of small business. We'll be here to answer any small business questions. Daryl Dartez will be here to answer any questions should you have any questions about risk and how we're going to handle risk on the program. As we talked about, another busy person is Vice President of Project Management and Engineering is Bridget Towns. As anyone who's comes visit me, as I tell you, as I learned, keep Bridget happy, you'll be happy. All right, so Bridget is there. Vice President of Capital and System Planning is Clint Harbert, led very successful planning efforts to get us to this point. And everybody's new best friend, our Chief Financial Officer, Art Smiley. Right? He's our new best friend because he got to keep that money flowing. All right, so first off, we'll start off with the questions. Will design build be used? And the answer to that question is probably not. So we were starting this program with the philosophy of design, bid, build. Now, no one can say no unilaterally. But the way this region is structured and the way Metro plays into this region, a lot of our projects are built on somebody else's right-of-way. So as you proceed with the design-build negotiation, you have to quantify risk, which is third-party delays, and if you're in someone else's right-of-way, that's a tremendous risk. And then you have private utilities who perform their work in this region, right? So we're starting off with the baseline philosophy, with the line section philosophy of design, bid, build. I understand the mentality of, oh, you can do it faster with design, build. Well, that unfortunately has not been the experience in this region. And I do firmly believe with the relationships that we have with the city and with TxDOT and everyone else, that design, bid, build is a way for the agency to minimize risk while we can still successfully implement projects. Next question is, are the contracts or opportunities for professional services, specialty, educational, and training, such as OSHA or CPR? That's a great question. Daryl, would OSHA, CPR training? No, right? Daryl's head. So normally the agency practices OSHA training and everything else is the responsibility of a designer or a contractor. Whether or not we do that on the contractor's behalf is probably not going to happen, but it's something we'll take into consideration going forward. Gosh, I'm my eyeballs here. Will vehicle engineering for LRT be included under PMC or LRT design services? Vehicle engineering, as we talk about the vehicle, it'll more than likely be under the PMC services, because as we talk about integrating that vehicle has a tremendous impact to the design, your operation maintenance cost, how many people you can carry. So that's a program-wide thing that impacts several aspects of the program. The PMC will likely oversee the vehicle engineering services for this program. If a firm is on a program management team, can they also participate on future METRONext non-program management solicitations for design, service planning, testing, commissioning, etc.? All right, so I can answer. So on this one here, so I think we've discussed this one. If you participate in the federal environmental process, you are prohibited from participating in any other aspect of that work further on for detailed design services. However, if you are a member of the program management consultant, we will likely not exclude you from having other opportunities that you are not directly over. So the agency's current position is, we want the best. And if the best is not conflicted, we want to maximize the opportunity to provide the best service we can as an agency. So that is the current position. I think we're going to limit the conflicts to the federal NEPA process only. And if you're really good at what you do, well, we want to use a lot of you. Yes. A follow-up to this. Provide clarity on small business conflicts. Can they do PM, GEC teams, so on? So, a little clarity. So if you're a general engineering consultant and you're managing full design, you cannot do full design. You're conflicted at that point. I mean, the role of a general engineering consultant is to oversee all of them. Doing detailed design, it's very difficult to oversee your own work, and we will not allow that. So hopefully I answered that question correctly. All right, so how will we handle the geotechnical and material testing of these projects? As we talked about on that last slide, geotechnical and material testing is going to be solicitations by the agency at the point in time that we need those services. So as we get these projects off the ground, those are going to be solicited directly to the agency. And they may be managed by program manager or Metro staff, but there will be a separate solicitation. It's not something that we're going to expect a program manager to provide or a detailed designer to provide. Yes. Yep, that one too. That one too. I got all these. All right, let's see here. We give hydraulic services, hydraulic hose, and cylinder repair. Where would we fit, if at all? Well, so I guess that's a little difficult question to answer. I don't know exactly how the hydraulic services, but we do know that we, as part of METRONext, it may not have a big role, but as we do vehicles, they're going to impact facilities. Should that facility need your services, I think there's an opportunity with the facility expansions that we may need. If your hoses go on a vehicle, we're going to need additional bus rapid transit vehicles. We're going to need additional light rail vehicles. Those are another opportunity to use your services in those aspects. Please break down contract opportunities to what dollar amount, any under 50,000, 100,000, 50,000. So as we go forward, the more clarity we provide, the better for success. We will, as we go to our board for permission to solicit, we'll share as much information and we'll share as much dollar values as we can at that point in time. We will not do it in this venue. If on PMC team for one service, can you be prime or sub on other contracts? That same service or other services, if you're on a prime PMC service. I think the answer is yes. If you are on a PMC for one service, can you be prime or sub on another contract? The answer is yes. Two things, obviously. FTA process, do not conflict us with the FTA. Second thing is you can't manage your own work. We'll have to be really strategic on how we oversee that, and it'll be handled on a case-by-case basis to how we do it. However, we want to maximize the opportunities, and if you're the right fit for a different role, then it's not conflicted. We're not going to prohibit you from doing that. Can all of these small business goals be met by either SBE or DBE, or do we need to be DBE due to federal funding? Mr. Johnson?
The goal can be met by either or combination, as long as they comply with Metro certification, which is SBE certification by Metro or DBE certification.
Okay, good. All right, so is your slide presentation available? I just hope that was good. I'm just kidding. It will be posted online. So the presentation will be posted online. And I will say it's subject to change. All right, so you see the numbers, right? Disclaimer. I gotta put my disclaimer on there, right? But those alignments are tentative per the FTA process, so the opportunities may change. But so before I post it, I'm gonna draft. Are sub-consultants on project management contract also prohibited from the project designs? And that just, it gets into the details of exactly what roles. We're not going to allow someone to oversee the design and also do the design. And I think that's where the conflict will arise. How will safety and training be addressed? I think we kind of alluded, touched this a little bit. Everything we do is going to be in coordination with Metro Safety Department. Safety and training of consultants, contractors, and everyone else is really the responsibility of the contractors themselves. And we're going to hold the contractors accountable for training their own personnel. All right. Well, that one's good. This one. There are a lot of contracts, so much that it appears that even with a program manager, Metro may not have the bandwidth to handle it. Have you considered consolidating this work and making a procurement to primes to sub out that work? I think we did consider this, but I think it boils down to the challenge. If we were just delivering capital projects, to say, do this project and let people drive on it, sure, we'd consider it. But the fact that we're delivering transit projects and we introduce a vehicle that has operation and maintenance costs and has fleet impacts, I mean, we'd hate to have all these primes delivering a capital project that need vehicles, and then we get to a point to where we have nowhere to maintain those vehicles because we're running out of storage capacity or maintenance capacity at our garages, which we're getting close to. So that's why the need for just one overarching umbrella of program management consultant. And yes, I will agree it's a lot of work. Great. But I think we have a really good team intern of the building that can execute the work. And I feel confident that whatever program manager is chosen can handle all the work going on at one time. Does Metro anticipate implementing system-wide or multiple station designs? Station-wide or multiple station designs? So if it's a larger design, like University impacting our Wheeler and how it simply integrates and how it can integrate better and improve the customer experience, that will likely be a separate solicitation. Another project that will likely be separate solicitation is Tidwell. On University Line, we're really proposing on the northeast tip to have a Tidwell facility. That will be a separate solicitation, but my experience has been I want the station design to be part of the design package, so that way I don't have a station designer and a designer pointing fingers at each other saying, hey, something went wrong. Single point of accountability. I trust the designers in this room to ensure that the civil design and the stations work seamlessly together. Prior tax-funded projects followed all FTA requirements, but lacked significant local contractor involvement because contracts were too large and only involved nationwide construction groups. How can we change? This is a great question because what you saw today really contradicts this question. By line sectioning it, we are actually providing more opportunity for local capacity to participate in this program. I can't speak to the programs we did in the past. There's no, we succeeded with all the programs that we've done. There's several different ways to do it. But the way we are structuring it now is we are maximizing the opportunity for all firms, specifically the ones within our service area. So that's the whole purpose with laying it out the way we did. Bonds. As subcontractor is a requirement to prevent any type of bond. Daryl? No? You want a bond?
Well, I mean, bonds apply to the prime contractor. So for construction projects, you have to be, supply a performance and payment bond of 100% of the project.
Okay. All right. So will the projects coming soon be staggered, or is the intent to push multiple projects out at the same time? I think with the presentation you see, we're going to push them all at the same time. We're going to push out as much as we can. The needs of the region are growing. If we don't start addressing them now, well, it'll be too late. So we're going to push out as many as we can, as early as we can. So the plan is to get it all out there as soon as possible. PMC, how will preliminary design be completed? How does GEC work under PMC? So preliminary design, we're going to try to include as many of the detailed designers into the environmental process. But as you know, with the FTA process, there is a conflict. Someone who performs that conceptual environmental process has to be pure and impartial as you get before in that process. We're going to try to involve the detailed designers in that process as early as we can. And that means involvement of the GEC also, as early as we can in that process, without jeopardizing our federal grants. So the logistics of that, we will be working through as we start soliciting these contracts and working on the scope of services. We'll work on these fine logistics to make sure that everything is in line with FTA requirements. Not as a contractor, but as a community member, why is there not more focus on rail around the country and around the major cities? Indicate underground and railroad systems which allows them to get away from hydrocarbons dependence. Why not here? I think Chair Patman can answer that one.
I raised my hand to be called on. The answer is this, and I think the two most frequent comments we got in our community input process were, after we'd come up with an initial plan, was there's too much rail, it's too expensive, and there's not enough rail. And the fact of the matter is that I think we're going to be the model for the nation when we get this built out with bus rapid transit. Rail is hugely expensive, particularly underground rail or elevated rail. You know, at-ground rail is terribly expensive, and when you depart from ground level, you add exponential costs. So the question is, given that bus rapid transit is working very similarly to rail lines in various localities all over the country, why would we invest in a technology for new corridors that is much more expensive than other available technology that's more adaptable than rail? Rail is not as flexible. You know, the electricity from the catenary wires, we've had our own problems with the catenary wires breaking, and if it's raining, it's a real problem. It hadn't been a huge problem, but it has occasionally occurred. And when you have a dedicated corridor, and you have buses that simulate rail cars, and you have the amenities of rail, off-vehicle payment, platforms that are flush with the doors opening, an ability to board at different parts of the car, and a high capacity carrying capacity, stations, not stops. It's really going to be very similar to rail for 1/3 to 1/2 of the cost. And as a result, as Roberto told you, I'll just give you an example. I don't know if I can even get this slide back, but probably not. But Roberto showed you the slide on the university corridor, for example. Well, when the university corridor was supposed to be a rail line, which ultimately foundered due to a confluence of circumstances, it went from downtown out to Hillcroft. Now, for the same amount or less money, we can take the bus rapid transit all the way out to West Chase and wrap it around up to Tidwell, expanding our service to many more people. So it's interesting that we get that question because it's something we weighed very heavily. In fact, I will tell you very frankly that when we first brought a plan that focused on bus rapid transit to the mayor, he said the same thing. He looked at it and he said, well, I don't think there's enough rail in this plan. This was a couple of years ago. And, you know, that's really the top of the line service. And I said to him, and a number of us were there with him, actually, you have what's known in the industry as rail bias, because bus rapid transit in the last 15 years has really come on. It's working very beautifully where it's working. And it happened that shortly after that, he went on a trade mission down to Buenos Aires, where they have a very, very robust bus rapid transit service, and they love it. And he visited it, he could see the way it operated, he could literally look out of his hotel room and see people boarding it, and it's worked very beautifully. And he came back and said, I see what you mean. So we did a whole lot of due diligence on it. We will have probably, don't you think it's fair to say, Tom, that we'll have the most extensive BRT system in the country when we have it, or is that? It'll be pretty close if it's not the case. I think it's the case, just from, he's always hedging his bets, you know. Troy. Oh yeah, it's also a lot quicker to install than rail, and hopefully somewhat less disruptive than rail to install, so that you don't have quite as many impacts during the construction process. Anybody want to comment on that in addition? Troy, Sanjay, anybody from the staff? So I think bus rapid transit is the way to go. We do have a little bit of rail, as you can see, and that is because where you have an existing line, and those two lines are so close, the green and the purple to Hobby Airport, that it made sense to join those and take them down so that people from the convention center had a one-seat ride to the airport. Not to mention, we just kind of close that loop. Those kind of go out to a destination and then they stop. Well, here they go to Hobby, and we're going to have a park and ride nearby so that we serve all those suburban areas that can drive in. And then it made a whole lot of sense to take the red line, which is one of the most successful lines in the country, by the way, in terms of riders per mile, up to the North Shepherd Transit Center, where you have all these cross currents of transit routes. So any other thoughts on that for me? And then I'll turn it back to Roberto. Thank you all so much.
It's always nice to have somebody who can answer the difficult questions. So we have a couple more questions. All right, so questions regarding small business certification and vendor registration. All that information is available at ridemetro.org. And you can always reach out to our small business team. I firmly say that our small business team is the best around. We've got a great small business program. So a couple more questions. Under the support services, there is a legal support category. Do you envision any opportunities for records and information management made available within this category? And the answer is yes. So with legal support, we'll work with our general counsel, Sidani Fairfax. She will structure it correctly. Records management is really critical to making sure we have secure the records properly. And absolutely, we will be looking for these type of services as part of this program. Does being on the program management team preclude you from providing construction services? The answer is no. It does not preclude you. It depends on the specific instance of what you oversaw as a program manager is what you will be precluded from participating in the future. Has Metro coordinated with City of Houston to streamline review process and requirements such as drainage? The answer is yes. We have a fantastic relationship with the City of Houston. We're perfectly positioned to deliver this program in all aspects. Design reviews, specifications, transit city priority. The relationship with the Houston is fantastic. Drainage has been addressed. What percentage of $7.5 billion is estimated to go towards equipment purchase? I have a lot of numbers in my brain. This is not one of them. I'll have to take a look back at that and answer that question. Current draft scope prohibits subs at the PMC level from participating in any other contract. Is there a conflict of interest? I will say that if you've seen the draft scope, that language has been modified. And as we work to get that scope out on the street, it will be very similar to what we discussed today. If you participate in the environmental process, you're excluded from the other aspects. But that verbiage in that scope has been modified. Is there any consideration for staff augmentation of the compliance, I can't read that word, compliance monitoring and procurement team in-house to assist with FTA regulations, grant administration? And the answer is yes. We will have staff augmentation for these services with the FTA processes. If you're interested in those services, I would really reach out to a firm that's interested in the program management consultant services. They are the ones that are going to help us with grant strategy, federal regulation, compliance, and all those aspects. So with that, oh, we got one more. Have you considered breaking the big contracts down where small minority contractors with small bonding capacity can be able to bid? We have, I think as we roll this out, we line section these. I think to successfully implement a program, we will take a look at, see where these are. I mean, we're going to line section these, and if there's smaller opportunities, we'll do so. If you're looking for a smaller opportunity for your bonding capacity, our universal accessibility projects, those are great contract opportunities where really small businesses are in prime positions to succeed. So we have a blend of projects. You could participate in our universal accessibility construction contracts. You can participate in our boost contracts, which are probably slightly bigger. And then if your bonding capacity allows, you can probably participate in the construction of some of our line sections. So with this program, there's a blend of opportunities, and I think there's an opportunity for your firm regardless if you're small, large, or medium size.
All of the questions, including the ones we didn't.
Anyone just say? Go ahead. You're good.
All of the questions that were asked today and answered, as well as the ones that we did not get to, we will be providing that and making it available on the website. So we want to thank you all for your attention and your participation in our forum today. Thank you very much.